what would be the two main arguments you would say on either side is?
There's a lot of agreement as far as, having to try different medications and how they make you feel. There's a lot of agreement. But then there's also, people, once you find the right one, that they're glad they took the time to find it because it does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. I think there's obviously some of that, but I also think it's almost enough time goes by that you just give up. That you just there's symptoms with a medication, and then there's symptoms with another one, and symptoms with another one, and you finally just give up and say, you know what, I'm going to live with these negative side effects.
Well, yeah, because it's frustrating, right? So, I'm sure a lot of people that feel like that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's trying to weigh the balances of, oh, are these medications going to cause symptoms worse than living my life without the medication and the symptoms potentially?
Yeah.
God, you need to come with topics, huh?
I have a question. So, when when you start to kind of feel hypomania coming on, trending towards mania, do you feel when you recognize that, because you usually recognize it really early, that you're able to stop it from progressing?
Well, I'll start with I don't. Well, people are allowed to start feeling good and energized about their life and having.
No, no, yes, but I mean beyond that, right? Like when you start to feel like the euphoria and the not sleeping and
Right, but so I'm answering that in the way that so if someone starts to feel good about their life and energized and potentially build momentum and pursue things, why is that why is there a label and a categorization of hypomania to the mania? And then is there hypomania to the hypomania? Like
no,
at what point is it just this is just a human I'm maybe I'm not the energy levels or the creativity levels or my view isn't the exact same as everyone else. But why is it categorized as a hypomania to the mania?
because that's what they've called it. But like what I'm referring to is like
They've compartmentalized each and every human and each and every emotion, each and every action.
what what I'm referring to as is when it starts getting to the point where, like I said, you're not sleeping, it's escalating, your thoughts are racing. What have you been able to, when you've recognized that and got to that point, do things that slow it down and stop it from going any further, potentially needing to go to the hospital?
Well, again, and I don't. I'll answer the question, but I have to try to break down how how bad the language is. So it's like racing thoughts. What is racing thoughts? How many thoughts in a day do you have?
Okay,
No,
you
I'm just trying to. I want people to see how skewed. So
I
like, if I have 10 more thoughts than I normally would, is that racing thoughts?
no, like racing thoughts where, you're jumping from task to task, or um when you're listening to a podcast or something on your phone, you're listening to it at like 5 times the speed that I can't even understand what's being said. Like things are speeding up.
People's brains work differently. like I listen to most things I listen to, unless it's just for leisure and I'm just pure entertainment and enjoyment of a podcast. I listen to it normal. And if not, I'm listening to try to gain knowledge or information or study it. I'll listen on 2x speed.
Okay, so
As this semantics?
so you have said once you start going down that path into mania, you need to be aware of what's happening and do things to try to slow it down or prevent it from going further. So my question was, has that worked for you? Has that happened to you where you feel that and you've done things that slow it down from progressing?
Yeah.
So like what types of things?
Well, it's so tricky. And yeah, I'll answer the question this time. Because, well, one, you can view mania and that state of mind as a bad thing, which doctors have demonized it as a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can look at it as a good thing that, oh, I can get this amount of things done. I'm super productive. I'm super creative. But there's obviously the tipping point with that. I call it like you get to the point of no return.
Yeah.
That if you allow yourself to almost fester in that creativity, super energetic, and you just try to keep harnessing it, I would call it,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to fall and you're going to crash and burn.
Well, because yeah, if it continues to escalate and you have to go to the hospital, and if it escalates into psychosis and all that, right?
Right. But I don't think that means that the only way to controlling mania is to completely medicate yourself. And so I have continuous sleep practices.
Mm-hmm.
I follow probably up an hour leading up to bed. I do the same thing every single time getting ready for bed. I'll take magnesium biglycinate. I'll take L-theanine, which are supplements that calm your mind. They
Mm-hmm.
calm your brain. There's like ashwagandha that calms stress levels, preparing your body for sleep. I don't use my phone for an hour plus before bed. I sit and I'll journal
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll meditate for however long. And then I'll get in bed and I'll read. And then I sit. I do the same thing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's not just it's more than just a routine of getting in the routine of being able to fall asleep. But if your mind is racing or you're super energetic and you avoid doing all these things to keep that going, I know where that's going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
But if I force myself to do those things anyways, and maybe say I only get 6 hours of sleep instead of 8 or 9, which I'm aiming for, that 6 hours is still better than the 8 to 9. But accumulatively, in say the week or 2 weeks that I'm more energetic or whatever it is, I'm trying to keep the sleep as close to 8 to 9 hours per night if possible. And then if I'm still not sleeping enough, or I'm only getting 2 to 3 hours, and then that happens another night and I don't want to sleep, then maybe I'll try to take a medication to help me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I force an 8 to
Yep.
9 hour sleep. So there are things in the process of your mind racing and going down mania and these different levels and states of consciousness that you either just exacerbate and continue to push with them, or you kind of try to navigate them and say, okay, I don't want my life to completely fall apart. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to end up talking to walls, talking to the clouds. So
They listen.
the clouds listen. They talk
They
back.
don't interrupt.
The clouds tell you what you need to hear. So there's a balance.
Yeah. Wow, it took you a long time to answer that question.
Well, that's why you sit down and we talk like this. I don't think a lot of the questions are so cut and dry.
Mm.
But if in a lot of that is, and then not a lot of what I just said is easy to do.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't drink coffee, caffeine, nicotine. So if I am hyped up on caffeine and I'm chugging energy drinks and coffee while my elevated states of energy are going this way, that's not going to help the process.
No.
Or if I'm in these states already and I go and I'm smoking cannabis and drinking alcohol and changing my state more, that doesn't help the process as well.
No.
So there's a lot of factors that go into, I like to say, harnessing it. And I have an analogy for this.
What's that?
I've made a video about it before, and I don't like to share this one. But you're gonna have to stay with me, okay?
Okay.
So there's an anime. It's called Naruto.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going?
No.
Okay. So in the show Naruto, he has his village, the village hidden in the leaves, they're called it,
Yeah.
and they're all ninjas. Okay, they go and do, they're shinobi. They go and do their thing. So he is born, and when he's born, the village has a demon fox. It's like a huge, literally a physical manifestation of a spirit, of this super strong, powerful energy force that destroys the village, and it destroys everything when it manifests and comes out. So they take this energy, this demon fox named Kurama, and they lock it in the child Naruto. They seal it. They seal it inside of him.
Okay.
So that this energy, this demon fox, can't come out and destroy everything. But in the meantime, Naruto's father, Minato, you still with me here?
Not really, but
Okay, so
go on.
I'll take out the names. Maybe I'll make it easier.
Just go
So
on.
in the meantime, his father, when they locked that energy into him, they were hopeful that he'd be able to learn and cooperate with that energy and that demon fox over time.
Mm.
So as the show goes on, Naruto has outbursts, and this energy comes out, and he destroys things, and everyone's terrified, and they do everything they can to conceal it and get it to stop. And then he trains and trains and continues onwards, and it happens again and again and again. But eventually, over time, he learns through the proper techniques, through whatever, that he can utilize the energy of the demon fox, Kurama, and in unison, they can work together to be stronger. So this is how...
So it's learning how to manage that energy.
So this is how I've constructed the energy of Mania in my mind, is that I'm in the training grounds, and that obviously I've been sick with it multiple times, but each and every time I learn more and more with it and have more opportunity to not just see it as a negative thing, but potentially benefit from this abundance of energy and spontaneity and impulsiveness.
Mm-hmm. The impulsiveness is big, right?
Yeah, but everyone's impulsive. When you walk through a grocery store and you pick up a bag of candy or a chocolate bar out the door, that's impulsive. Everyone's impulsive.
Yes, but it can get to extremes, right? Where the impulsiveness maybe gets acted on, and then after there's like regret, or like, for example, buying a whole bunch of stuff right? That you necessarily don't need, um, or overspending, and then after the fact, you realize that you really weren't in control of that impulsiveness.
Truly believe you weren't in control or convinced you weren't in control?
No.
Yeah, I hope it's gonna come across like I'm just arguing every
Yeah.
point, but I'm just trying to give the other end of,
Yes,
or the
yes.
other side of it, because I don't think the other side of it is represented at
Well,
all.
and I think too, I can look at it from what I've seen, but you experiencing it, see it differently, right? So it's
Hmm. So at times, so I think at first it was very frustrating for me with, obviously you get diagnosed, whatever that is, um, and then now you're in the learning phase,
yeah,
and everyone's trying to figure out how to deal with that,
yeah,
if you're lucky enough to have a concerning, caring support system.
yep,
And I think at first, or in the recent following years from the initial time being sick, well, no one really knows what the best approach is. No one knows. So I think your guys' natural anxieties and instincts to try to make sure I'm okay and care, and just to make sure things are okay,
mm-hmm.
was very frustrating to me. And it just constantly made me angry.
Mm-hmm. But that comes from what we're seeing and not knowing what's going on in your mind, right? What you're thinking, and then seeing actions that you're doing, right? From seeing it outside looking in, it is concerning or can be concerning, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And yeah, for many years, it was just a pure anger out of me that,
Yeah.
well, one, I don't think I realized that it was out of concern and instinctual for you guys to want to
Mm-hmm.
just care and help, but also repeatedly, when the same kind of things would come up during this mania, my interests or my passions or my plan to do certain things, well, one, I think that is your truest passions and desires come out during this lowered sense of fear, this lowered sense of anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
because you have more confidence, you
Mm-hmm.
have more aspirations, you have energy to do things. So now you actually start doing these things. I don't know if they can hear that. And so in actually implementing them.
Yeah.
So say during Mania, I start going on social media and posting and talking, or I start working out a certain direction or running, and the same thing happens again. So from your guys' point of view, you might look at that and go, "Oh, the same thing's happening again. He's doing the same things again."
Mm.
That, and you correlate that to a sickness. But in your guys' view, is it maybe? I guess I don't want to answer for you, but as enough times it's happened that I continue going back to the same things, is it maybe, oh, he's just passionate towards those things?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between when you're doing things out of impulsiveness in that state, and then doing the same things that you did when you know that heightened level of energy and all that is lowered, not as high, right? um, because there is a bit of a difference between when you're in that state doing it. There potentially can come after the fact, when things lower down again, kind of embarrassment or resentment for some of the things you might have posted or whatever. But if you're doing it and that you know heightened level is gone, that which I have seen over the times that during that heightened state, things that you're interested in, things that you're doing, they do carry over when, you know, you're a little bit more, I want to say stable. um, so you can definitely see that those are your passions, and there's nothing wrong with, fulfilling those passions. But I think it's important to be conscious of when you're doing them so that it doesn't turn into, like I said, regret or embarrassment for things that might have been done out of impulse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the learning to get over the embarrassment and regret part is a huge part of people's issues when it comes to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Is, well, one, you're in a very vulnerable state
Yeah.
of even, I don't, maybe not so much depression and anxieties because you're probably going to hide the opposite way. But in some of these states, you're going to do things that maybe look very different than your norm. Maybe you're going to go and quit your job. Maybe you're going to.
Which in I've seen a lot in different videos and creators that talk about this stuff. That happens a lot. That when in that state, they quit their job.
Mm-hmm. And I have a theory about this.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if I like saying theory. I have an opinion on this. So I said earlier that your heightened passions and desires come out during these states. So what if internally you know that this job isn't for you and you've only been being able to manage continuously going in doing this job, but every day you go in, the piece of your soul is dying. You're dying inside every time you go to this job.
Yeah.
So you get this elevated state consciousness of these feelings and emotions, and you finally have the confidence to just, you know what, I'm done.
And
And
I
you.
think and I think that's where the impulsiveness comes in, because I think when if you decide that in that state, the other thoughts that go around with it aren't being taken into consideration, like how am I going to pay my bills? How, that where it's so impulsive that you just decide, screw it, I'm going to quit my job. But what about everything that that job brings, right? So then maybe when you're not in that heightened state anymore, that could cause more stress and anxiety, because then you're stressed about where am I getting money from, to pay my car insurance, to pay my mortgage, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're like, I briefly escaped. You're like, I was freed myself. Now it's back to dying. And this a story came to mind. So in would have been October 2023, when I had my doctor's appointment on, I think it was October 6th, um, to see the doctor. And at that time, I got checked into the hospital for a long period of time. But when I was with my girlfriend and we were together for those, I think it was a couple days leading up to the appointment,
Mm-hmm.
I went for a walk during the night. And my work was close enough that I could walk there. I don't know how long. It took like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I walked to my work. And what I was doing, I was saying goodbye. So I went and I said goodbye to my work,
Mm-hmm.
as in like this was a period of my life.
Yeah.
I'm done here, no more. So I'd freed myself.
Yeah.
My soul was free for a period of time, and then I went back to dying. Yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't walk in and quit.
But spiritually, on the outside, I quit,
Yeah.
and just the physical reality of it isn't there quite yet.
Yeah.
The reality of that hasn't shifted timelines. I'm not on that railroad yet. Did you know about that?
Yes. Yes.
I said that one before.
Yeah. I did know about that.
But yeah, the impulsiveness of it can suck. Or even when I think about the past times or the first couple times of being manic or whatever, thinking about those stories and what I did,
Yeah.
what? What the heck is that for?
Well, they were, I will say, they were definitely different from more recent times. So I think, you're educating and evolving and doing the right things makes a difference, right?
Mm-hmm. And also, well, I think at those younger years, I mean, I'm still young, obviously, but there's so much more hormonal imbalance
Yeah.
and drugs and alcohol mixed in
Yeah.
is just so much chaos.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of years that I had to think and consider, well, I wish I didn't say that, or that was dumb, or
Yeah.
but once you get to a point that it doesn't matter, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, even think about, what was the last TikTok you watched?
Yeah, I can't even remember. So, yeah. Yep.
That's how fast things,
Yeah. But
they fly by.
but I think you worry after the fact, you worry more about the people that that are close to you if they saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more of those relationships.
Yeah.
But even then, those people, if I talk to them now and actually had a real conversation with people, maybe they'd be able to understand me better
Yeah.
than from this snippet on the internet. Or
Yeah.
but ultimately, who cares?
Yeah.
The people I have in my life, there are so few that I actually care about what they have to say,
Yeah.
or have actually shown a willingness to, like, it's very easy to decipher who's actually there in your life and who's not when you
Mm-hmm.
go through bad
Yeah,
situations.
and you know what? And I think you're very lucky in the sense that you have a few friends that, you know, have been there every single time.
Hmm.
That, you're in the hospital, they're up there with you, right? Like, so, and I think that makes a difference too. Like we talked about the strong support system before. And I think it's probably would be a lot harder for people that don't have that, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it'd be super easy for say take my position. I go to the psych ward. I go to the fun house, and why, don't roll your eyes at that.
Fun house.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
where my people
It's
are.
all fun and games.
Those are my people. What are we talking about? So, and then I can have a friend come and visit that
Yep.
and take in what that looks like,
Yeah, because
take in the people, the
yep.
conversations, and then go, whoa, like,
Yeah.
whatever their view could be. They could
Yep.
go, well, I'm sure the most common is probably, well, he's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
disassociate, not be willing to learn, not be willing to have potentially an open mind
Yep.
towards what goes on. And I think it comes down to, well, your luck, the people around you, your situation,
Yep.
the willingness to have an open mind to different things and different ideas. So,
Yep. And it shows how strong the friendship is, right? To have friends that, yeah, like you said, they're very, you go up there and you have to go through security. You have to like go, they do a metal detector wand before you go in. So if you've never been there before and that's happening for the first time, you're probably thinking, what am I walking into, right?
yeah.
And then, you can walk in there and it be somebody's in the middle of getting restrained or something, and you see that. So it can be very overwhelming and can be scary to
Mhm.
see that. And so, yeah, it could be easy for, somebody that you thought was your friend to see that and say, well, no way, I'm done, I'm out of here, right?
Mhm.
But like I said, you have a few friends that, they're right there with you through the whole thing.
So I don't. Well, I know he wouldn't care if I say his name, but I won't. Yeah. Um. So he said to me, he said, the whole process of it all is that he told himself the worst that could possibly happen is Eric punches me. So, well, one, I would never, but that's what he came to that conclusion
Yep.
that that's the worst that could possibly happen, and he's okay with that.
Yeah.
But some people aren't. Maybe they don't have a background that scares them. But
Yeah.
he was comfortable enough that it's like,
But
I get punched, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know
but
what
see,
I mean?
and that's education too. That's the unknown, right? So you don't know what to expect. Um, Walking in, don't know if is Eric going to see me and like, you know, sucker punch me, or is he going to start yelling, tell me to get out? That it's the unknown, not knowing, right? So once he got past that initial time seeing you in the hospital, then the next time it's not a big deal, right? Because he knows then what you're like, what you're capable of, and that fear. I think that fear is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's able to help deal with it better too, right?
Yeah. There's such a huge element of fear that goes
Yeah.
on in these situations from
Yeah.
the people coming in, the working people.
And I understand. I
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah.
I understand
Or
it. But
he's even said before that although there's good and bad to it all, there's bad situations, but he said, "Oh, at times it's super peaceful. You sit in the common room and people are just coloring, they're just playing chess,
yep.
playing cards."
Yep.
And those aspects are some of my favorite.
Yeah.
When I had a routine that so I don't know, I would try to make a routine of things. So you get your I don't know, you get your 8:30 sandwich, you get your 8:30 snack. So that we have snack time in there, all right? They come in, you get a choice of crackers, you get a choice of tuna sandwich, egg salad sandwich, your orange juice or apple juice. You go take it, and they give your meds. Uh, this is funny. But so at that time, you'd get the snack and another guy in there. At that time, every night, we knew we'd go and play chess after.
Yep.
So and then we just go sit down and play chess for an hour, hour and a half, and then we'd go to bed.
Yep.
So even building little camaraderie amongst people in these situations was very cool, important.
Yeah. And I think too, it's probably, everybody in there has a sense of understanding of all the people that they're in there with, right? And probably a better understanding than somebody that's just coming to visit, right? So it's kind of like you can be yourself because you're all there for whatever reason, right? That you don't have to try to, be somebody different or act a different way.
That's such a great point that you get to be yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think there's ever been a more freeing space, and not freeing at the same simultaneously than a psych ward.
Yeah.
Because well, one, there's two things with this. One, you can do whatever you want. Like not in a negative, harmful way to whatever, but you can express yourself. You can walk down the halls and dance and pretend to be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whether there's judgment or not, there's only the people in there. So you can the freedom of expression, there's never been a more freeing place.
Yeah.
But then two, if you continue with that acting, that freedom, you'll never get out of there.
Yeah.
They'll never let you out.
Yeah. I remember one time, the very first time you were in there, and at the time you were 18. So at that time, they put you, even though you were a bit too old, they still put you on in the adolescent ward as opposed to the adult ward. And I remember over time, like you were having a blast up there. You had me bringing stuff from home. You're decorating your room, and like, you were like you. It's like you own the place, right? Like you'd get up in the morning, walk down the hall, and everybody, nurses, patients, hey Eric, how you doing? Like you you were enjoying being there. But then I one day um was up there, and all of a sudden it's like something changed. You started taking everything out of your room, emptying your room, and the nurses were standing there. They were concerned. I was there. Grandma was there, and when they'd ask you, what are you doing, your response was, if I get too complacent here, I won't want to leave. This isn't a place you want to be. And it was like a switch that you had to go from focusing on healing, right? Because I think up until that point, you were just going with the flow, just doing whatever. But it's like something happened in your thought process that, like, no, this isn't where I want to be. I want to do the right things to get better so I can get out.
Mm-hmm. You just move your hair a little bit from the. Yeah, but yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But if I try to think about what my thought process was then, well, one, I just came back from a pass
Yeah, you
from
you
being
you got to
outside of
go.
there,
Yeah.
so I was pissed off that I was now back in confinement. But yeah, the having photos of people or trying to make this potentially uncomfortable place as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
It was to me. It's like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want to make. Well, I mean, sure, you want to, I guess, make your stay as comfortable as. No, no. It's like if you go to jail for 10 years, like, sure, maybe make it comfortable if you're gonna be there for 10 years.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want to make this my home. There's better things for me, or than being in this
Yeah.
situation. So I had to.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
I'd say one of the hardest parts is um when you've been in the hospital for a while, and you get to the point where, like, you're done, I want to go home, I'm ready to go home, right? But the people that know you know that you're not ready yet, right?
says who?
And a few times what has happened is you've um I don't know, managed to convince them or whatever you did, or they thought you were ready to leave. And in a few cases, you were out for like a week or whatever, and turn around and had to go right back in because you weren't ready.
But I don't. That happened once, and it was because of the medication, what it was doing to me. If you
Um,
remember,
no, it happened early on. Early on, there was a time that happened too, where you were out for about a week or so, and then went back in. You weren't in
but I
long.
went back in for a different reason.
Well, to change your medication, but to be there to change your medication, but still, you ended up back in there. So I think making sure you're ready to leave um, is important. But I think that's a hard thing for you when you're in there, because you get to a point where it doesn't matter. You just want out. It doesn't matter if you're ready or not.
Well, do you know how many people throughout history went to insane asylums and never left?
Well, yeah,
Because once you've now been put in a situation that a doctor holds the ultimate power of your life, your freedom, there's there's only one
yeah.
person who gets to
I
decide whether you come or go now.
I remember the last time it was so when you get formed, um, formed by a doctor, which means you can't leave. If you try to leave, the police will be involved. You have to stay. It's involuntary stay, and so it's for so many days. But then when it gets to that point, so they can either end it sooner, or then they form you again, right? And I remember you were on a form. You had been there a while, and it was Thanksgiving, and so called me. You called me and said, I got a pass to be able to go for Thanksgiving dinner. Can you come and get me? And I was pretty sure that wasn't the case because you hadn't been there long and they usually don't let you have a pass that soon. And usually they talk to me about it. And I was like, are you sure? Yeah, I am looking at it right now. It says I can leave for dinner and come back. So later to find out, it wasn't that at all. It was a form extending your stay. But you tried so hard to convince me that they gave you a pass to go for the day.
Are you trying to embarrass me?
No,
The hell?
it's just a funny story. It's cute.
I know what?
But you know what? I'm sure you're not the only one.
I don't even know what you're getting at there.
I just thought it was a funny story.
I want to go and eat with my family. These bastards have me locked up.
Yes.
But back to my point about, so if you get taken here and only a doctor gets to decide whether you leave or not, the freedom, so like what I was saying earlier, you can never be more free in a place similar to this.
Mm.
So things, I go in there, I like playing with playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I would still play with playing cards outside of there. Like I would do that now if that wasn't tied to me being in the hospital doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't do things
Yeah.
specifically now in my life because people might view that in that same light. So take that for example. I walk around with playing cards and play with them, do cardistry, throw them, whatever it is. If I continued probably doing that my whole time there and didn't like give them clear cut signs of like progression of being better, my stays would be longer.
Yeah.
I'd be held there longer. So throughout history and even probably now, the people, or think about, so I remember one person in there, they couldn't communicate. Maybe, I don't know what it, speech impediment, whatever it is. They couldn't actually communicate. And if you have a doctor come and decide that it's best for you to be in this place, how are you going to ever advocate for yourself to get out?
So they were nonverbal.
Yeah, so or even, so in the psych ward system, you can petition, I don't know if petition's the right word, but you can advocate to get a lawyer to come and fight for you if you have a disagreement on your form, right?
Yeah, they call it an advisor. As soon as you're formed, they have to offer you an advisor.
Right. So now let's look at this. You have your advisor that comes in to represent you from the psych ward.
Yeah.
And because I witnessed it, I saw it. Now you're going to sit in a Zoom meeting in your hospital scrubs in the psych ward, arguing and trying to say that you're healthy, that you don't belong to be here. And now the judicial system, whoever's on the other side, they're going to hear other patients maybe screaming, maybe yelling in the background of I don't deserve to be here, I'm not being treated fairly.
Yeah.
How often do you think that's successful for them? How fair does that look?
Yeah. And I think
everything is set up against the people.
And I think too, there was a point you wanted to fight it. So
and I realized, this is going to go nowhere.
Well, it's not only that, I think the timing of it all, right? So they get once you say you want to speak to an advisor, I think it's takes a while for that to happen. And then so the whole process to go through that, I think in a lot of cases, by the time it gets to actually doing something about it, your thoughts may have changed on that, right? And you just don't pursue it any further. And I think that's what happened in your case.
Or you've been neutered enough by the medicine that you've given up already, and you're like, okay, I'll take the meds like a good little boy and be quiet. Yes, doctor. I agree, doctor. Let me go home.
On that note, I think that's a good ending point.
No, this is good. What are you talking about?